Welcome to the International Institute for Facilitation's podcast, Spaghetti on the Wall. I'm Eileen Dowse, Chair Emeritus of INIFAC and also the Director of Certification. And I am joined today by Florence Perault. She's an executive coach. She's a certified virtual facilitator and also assesses virtual facilitators. And for the next several minutes, we're going to untangle some topics on power, subordination, empowerment, and discrimination. We're going to cram all of that into this podcast, so let's get started. Hi, Florence, and welcome.
Hi, Eileen. Thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure.
Oh, well, thank you. And if anyone viewing is picking up a bit of an accent, you are based in France. So
I am,
indeed. That's the thing about the International Institute for Facilitation. Okay, so this topic can be potentially very heavy, all right? And I want to keep this light. So I just want to check in to make sure I'm not dominating the conversation so far. I didn't wear my power suit. Am I being too powerful? So let's just first check in with you as a co-facilitator. How's the power situation so far?
So far, you're doing a good job. You're good. Yes. I feel confident to speak up and to join the conversation when I want. So far we're good. Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's frame this. When we're talking about power, that whole list, right? The empowerment, whether for whatever reasons you're in a meeting, you're facilitating the meeting, or you're a participant. Give me the big picture about what are some of the reasons or how power happens in a meeting?
Great question to start with. I would say, there are indeed different type of powers that you can see that can play in a meeting. The easiest one to recognize, I would say, is when someone is just taking the full space and continuously speaking, not giving space to other. So that's the easy one, I will say, to spot on. But what I also really like to look at is the ones that are a little bit more difficult, like the ones that maybe are looking for other, before speaking. So more the ones that are silently looking, to get an approbation before they can speak and give their point of view.
I just want to confirm that are looking for the opportunity to speak. Is that what you're saying?
Opportunity, yes, or approbation on what they're going to say. The content.
So they're strategizing in their head too. Okay.
Yeah, am I allowed to say that? Is it what we expect from me?
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, and those ones are less obvious, especially I will say in virtual meetings, because it's really something sensible. But those ones are really interesting to spot on. I don't know if you have seen other ones than those situations.
Yeah. Yes, and I'll answer that question in a moment. What we're really talking about here is the piece that facilitators need to know about is understanding the dynamics that are going on. And that person that you were just talking about that does that, they have the potential to derail the entire meeting.
Yes.
Right? Either derail it because they've been building it up and then boom, they come in strong, or derail it because they've been thinking in their head. They have formed the story, the opinion, the narrative, and then they're stuck on that and they derail it wanting to take the meeting in a different direction when if they had expressed that earlier, then it could have helped keep the whole meeting on track.
Yeah.
So what I find is sometimes there's this power over people, or sometimes there's power of two groups.
Yes.
Right? So you have that weighing out. And then sometimes you just have people with a big old ego that have to be seen, heard, valued, all those things, and that because of their personality, that turns into power, right?
Yeah.
So that's my experience.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned like the fact that they can derail a full meeting. It happens to me that they can really derail like from a really practical point of view. Like someone that comes in with strong power in his hands and have a specific agenda item he wants to discuss. It's not on the agenda. It's not the purpose of the meeting I'm facilitating. But he comes and he's like, well, it's group. I needed to speak to all these people anyway, so I want to do that now.
Right. Yeah, my agenda.
Yes.
I think just to, again, set this tone, when we're talking about power, we're really talking about in a person who wants influence and control over the group, right?
Yes.
Whether they feel empowered or not, whether they want to discriminate against others, whatever, they want to influence and control. There are personality types that's a natural piece for them. And then there are, again, egos. What do you think causes all of this? Like, why do people want this power? Understand, though, what's in it for me sort of thing.
I think some, as you say, they just have like a huge ego that they need to please. So that's, one thing. Some think that it's the best thing to do for their career evolution and so on. They want like they can progress if they show up more, if we hear them during the meetings, which is, by the way, something that I heard when I was in corporate was like, we need to hear you if you want to progress.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're doing it because they think they need to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And another situation that I encountered also is that sometimes some don't realize that they use a lot their power. They think they are helping. Like, I'm going to give you like a practical example. Like I had this person who was constantly making sure that everyone was speaking. So taking a little bit over, my facilitation job.
Yeah.
But more importantly, like he was really coming with like a helpful mind, saying, I'm looking at my different colleagues and this one hasn't speak. I'm just going to stop people so that this person speak. But at the same time, it means that for me, he had a lot of power on deciding who was going to speak when.
Yeah, beautiful. If you saw a big smile on my face when we do our simulated facilitations as part of the application at INEFAC, one of the, if we throw it in sometimes, we include a dysfunction around someone being incredibly helpful. And it is amazing that some facilitators who feel very stressed will suddenly perceive that helpfulness as help. When in fact, just as you said, it's not so helpful, right? Sometimes you align as a facilitator to that person because it's like, you're my life jacket, you're my rescue, you're going to help me, at the detriment of the other participants. So yes, that's certainly dysfunction. I think there's another reason why around power. Culture is a big thing for me. I teach it, I work in different cultures. when I work in Asia, when I've worked in different cultures in France, sometimes the culture says, and I'm going to tread lightly here on gender because I love all genders, the culture says you must be a strong, dominant male, and again, project that, and you must be a soft, nurturing, caring, soft female, and you must project that. That also can cause an imbalance in the meeting, and therefore a dysfunction. What are your thoughts on that one? Again,
I fully agree. I will add on that, like in terms of culture, you also have, when I look at Europe, like the northern country versus the south country, south countries that they speak louder. They, by default, like naturally they take more space. And so when you have like those, like two countries that are completely different in terms of culture and way of speaking, it is like you have a power, like just like starting without, wanting, kind of.
Right.
And the other one also linked to culture for me is the respect of hierarchy.
Hierarchy, yes,
yeah, depending on the culture. Like we were talking about Asia, really, really strong respect, which has its with positive and negatives, I would say. When you are trying like to get everyone's voice. But yeah, culture is definitely a big influence.
Absolutely. And then there's some other little tweaky things, like if I report to you and you're my leader, you have the power, although, I mean, you have this coaching style and it's lovely, and then you have to go into a meeting with your senior leadership, right, and your boss, and now your power has shifted.
Yes.
And when you facilitate that people can have that confusion going on in their head. They're like, wait a second, I know I have power with my team. I don't necessarily have any level of a sense of empowerment with my coworkers or my peers, right?
True.
Yeah.
And sometimes also like it's like for, like having power with your team, like some are trying to find the right balance between I have power, but I want to be friendly.
Yeah.
That's also an interesting balance. Like, that you can see in meetings where they have to, or they want like to give direction and they want to push in one direction. And at the same time, they're like, wait, like how, like, are you happy with it? Like, I still want to be friendly with you, so it's, you can see sometimes the debate.
Yeah. And then there's this whole chapter on biases and stereotypes, because if I'm reporting to you and I'm older than you, so you're a younger leader, you really don't have power over me because I've been there, I've experienced all of that, so I don't value you. Or when someone younger is speaking up in a group, it's I'm biased in my head because how could they possibly know? So we have these biases, or you culturally can't possibly know about the Western world, Florence, because you're from France. Like, we know you French. Yeah, just buy more soap. I mean, obviously, I'm being horribly rude. That happens with these biases or this stereotype. What experiences have you had facilitating in that realm?
So it's funny, I had like the two options, like especially, I will add on that, of course, well, you mentioned it, but the gender-based stereotype, but all the stereotypes, like if you are, let's say, a young woman, you are like kind of accumulating two stereotypes at once. Nevertheless, and it's like a personal story, but I, like in my first job, I had like this amazing manager who actually called me in his office, like European level, like C-level manager, who called me in his office and he said, "You're 25, but you know more than me on this topic. So I need you in the meetings."
Beautiful.
And I was like, and so it really opened my eyes in terms of, wow, like there are, like he can value my opinion even if I'm young, and he wants me to share my opinion, and he's going to respect it. So of course, you know, he had a lot of power, but the way that he was using it was also extremely respectful, and he was really aware of the stereotypes that I could have about myself more than he could have.
Yeah.
So really positive, you know, situation.
Yeah.
And that I, you know, in some meetings that I facilitated, I could see that everyone, you know, whatever age, gender, will be absolutely free to speak and comfortable sharing their opinion. While I also had like these, these meetings that are really rude on people, where some participants say, "Well, you don't know anything because you're too young," just, you know, straight in your face. "You don't know that. Like, I'm older than you, I know, so listen to me."
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can really, you really experience both of them.
Yeah. And I think that you've made such a great point that leaders really need to value the opinions of others. I always say to leaders, you've paid good money to bring these people into your organization. Why aren't you using them? And as facilitators, it's setting up that environment that people can value other people. And when you feel valued, if I'm inferring from your conversation or from your points, that this is around having a sense of confidence to voice your opinions, to feel valued. So there's a sense of confidence. In that way, what do you think an individual can do in a meeting to project the appropriate level of power or empowerment or influence in a meeting?
As a participant or as a facilitator?
Great question. Thank you for the clarification. I'm thinking as the participant or just as an individual in an organization.
I think first of all, being really conscious about like all kind of bias. How do you say that? Yeah, like gender bias or stereotypes. Bias. Sorry. So yes, being like really conscious about all the bias that you can have, you know, as a leader or as a participant. I think it can already open your eyes and give you like some self-awareness of the kind of mistakes you could do without even noticing them. So being self-aware, ask a lot of feedback, I will say. It's still so.
Yeah, I'm like so glad you said that, because I was going to say at least be open to how other people think. You know, sometimes we talk about, all these people have biases, and as coach, you hold up the mirror and you say, and what biases do you have? And they're like, oh, no, I'm fine. And I'm like, no, I think you have some biases. So being open to that feedback is, I always say it's getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm hearing sometimes you just have to adapt, whether it's from a cultural perspective, or if I am the leader of one group and then the employee or the follower of another group, you have to adapt. It's not a one size fits all.
Yeah, no, it requires a lot of flexibility in terms of which shoes you are wearing today, and which shoes you are like willing to take also. Indeed. And there is what I was going to say. What else can you do as a participant?
Well, we can switch the question now. What can
Yeah.
you do as a facilitator?
Definitely, always remind ground rules of the meeting, set really rules on what you are expecting from everyone's behavior and attitude during the meeting. That it's a free space to speak. As much as you can control that, of course, because you can control everything that happens in companies.
I wish we could, right? We can't all have that power.
Yes. And I would say, especially when you are a virtual facilitator, you have a luxury, which is you have a lot of virtual tools that can put everyone at the same level, using or forcing, to have a survey to take a decision, to write a question in a chat if you're not comfortable to speak up, but use the chat to put questions. You have simple tools that are available for everyone in a virtual.
What else can a facilitator, a person do? What suggestions do you have for anyone wanting to learn how to manage this power imbalance, these issues?
So I will say someone that wants to learn. So if you have a specific meeting in mind, I will just add in the preparation question around know well your participants in terms of gender, culture of the company, situation. So that's the first thing. If you can, attend some, as a guest, some other meeting as a facilitator to learn.
Ooh, nice.
To learn, things from other facilitators.
Yeah.
Of course, reach out, to call a friend and say, hi, please, Eileen, help me. I don't know.
Exactly. I love that one. Yeah, I know. I really love that one because it's like you are being open to learn, right?
Yes.
Don't assume you know it all.
Yeah.
Check with others and certainly check with the group.
Yeah.
Do those post-meeting surveys. And I don't like hearing all the great news. I like to hear the bad news too, because it's the bad news I can also build on. I can keep doing the good things that participants liked, but if they didn't like something, then I want to be humble enough to say, I'm going to do it different. So.
And I will add that even as an experienced facilitator, you are always learning, and there will always be some situations that you haven't encountered before or that you haven't thought about it. It's
and just when you think you knew it all, you end up with another group, and you're like, what the heck? Where did this come from? So there we go. Florence, this has been such a delight to talk with you. I thank you so much for your time and sharing your wisdom.
Well, thank you, Eileen. It was a pleasure indeed.
It was great, and I hope you'll come back and we can either talk more about power or perhaps some other topic.
Yeah, that will be great. Merci beaucoup.